Oh, it's because I can't stream with this open. Noted. God damn it. Now I've got to go back and fix everything again. Son of a bitch. Can have nice things. Uh... Fixing all these freaking windows, I swear to God. No. I only have the one. But I just have to, like, resize your camera because, you know, he's like that. Okay. So now what? Copy. Just paste you. Delete this one. There. Okay. And voila. Done. Okay. Now I can go. Oh, you know what's funny? We've been going this entire time because that's just how things work. So that error message that came up that said can't do this, that, or the other thing, that was a bold-faced lie. Apparently, hello everyone. Apparently you can, and in fact it will. Now the question is, where is there you are. Oh man, what a time to be alive. Welcome to Next to the Floor. We're doing things, we're talking about stuff. We can't have nice things ever at all for any reason. This is why we can't have nice things, because what happens is, you know, you get error messages and then, you know, the universe says, haha, just kidding, everything's fine. Welcome to Next to the Floor. Welcome back. It's episode number 36. It's happening. My name is Harrison, host with the most. I'm joined with this guy, good guy, Gary, my main man, Gary Noxterry. How the heck are you doing, my dude? Woo! April. Because it's your birthday month. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my gosh. I forget what day is your birthday. I guess we'll never know. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. I do know. Oh, it's the 28th? I thought it was the 30th, but you're turning 30. You're turning 30 on the 28th. Okay, okay, okay. Well, happy early birthday. Don't, okay. You're gonna be just an old, just in general. I'm gonna be an old. That's very disrespectful, truthfully. To those of us with a couple of years on you. Yeah. You know what's also really interesting and or funny as we're talking, uh the what's it called? Sound isn't working either. Oh my god. This is such a day. So, hold on 1 second. We can make this work. Everybody calm down. There we go. Well, everything's working. Everything's working fine, but your sound, hold on, say words now.
Words.
Okay, your sound is now coming through. So that entire 3 minutes we were just chit-chatting about this month being a thing and April being your birthday month, nobody heard. But that's okay, because I'm going to give everybody a quick summary. This is Gary. His birthday is this month. Welcome to Next to the Floor, the show where, technological issues throw us for a loop. Um, we're starting the month off strong. That's all I can say.
That's okay. It's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
all right.
Everything's
We can
fine.
only go up from here.
We can literally only go up from here. Literally only go up from here. So it has been a very, very well, it's Arthur Murray month, or it was Arthur Murray month. Basically, an event every weekend, something going on.
Did you just get a haircut?
I did. I
I'm like, how do
did.
you look? I was like, how do you look so different from when I saw you
Earlier
earlier
today,
today?
yeah, I
I'm
got my
like,
hair cut earlier today, because I've got to go to New Jersey this weekend, so I'm going to look fresh for the people. And my hair is actually like curling the way that I want it to. Things are
oh,
coming
is
up
that
roses.
the international thing?
Yeah, the international dance training.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's really interesting? I'm watching, or I have this pulled up on my phone, and we're closed captioned.
We are.
We are. It's really interesting. I can see what
Well,
I can see what I'm saying.
I'm excited to see what it thinks I'm saying.
Um, it said exactly what you're saying, so that's good. Whoever the closed captioning capabilities are actually quite nice. Anywho, so let's see what happened this past month. A lot. We went to Nashville.
Went to
We went
Nashville.
to Nashville and danced a lot.
We're we were in Nashville for like a good solid like week.
Oh my god, we were for actually an entire week, Tuesday to Monday.
Yeah.
That was fun. And then we came back for a week and had an event that following weekend. So had to come home, unpack, do laundry, repack everything, put it all back in the bag to go to this
No time
event.
to breathe. No time to breathe.
And then, we had to unpack all the stuff from Showcase, wash it all, and then pack up to go to Albany, New York for training weekend again. And then
Yep.
that was it for the month.
All the deadlines, all the coaches.
Oh man. All the deadlines and all the coaches. It was, but it was, I think, a very for all of the chaos and all of the things that we had to do and get done, I think it was overall was a very positive month, positive experience. I learned a lot, so that's cool. Experienced a lot, felt good about things.
There you go. There you go. Same. Same. Learned a lot.
Like a lot. Lots.
A lot.
Um I never got to ask you, but what was like your biggest highlight and or learning moment from our area training?
Ah, um, I would have to say, like, honestly, I was super excited just to be there and see everybody from the area.
Hmm.
Was totally bummed that Canada wasn't there, but
Oh my
that's okay.
gosh, you're right. Like
Yeah,
all
that's
of the
why I'm so
Montreal studios weren't there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Uh, yeah, that's why because the staff party seemed very small,
Yeah,
you know, which is fine. I was not complaining. I was not, but I was like, oh, this is different,
yeah.
you know. But we still live in the age of COVID.
Of COVID and restrictions, and Canada's not playing around.
Yeah, Canada's not playing around,
Rightfully so.
and it's still there. Always will be there.
Yep.
You know, until it gets eradicated, probably, and never.
Well, I think we're moving into the endemic stage of things. To that end, I was listening to some quick little mini series or something along those lines on YouTube about about like pandemics and virology, and what makes something go from being pandemic to endemic. And one of the things that I learned that was really interesting was that the flu that like we experience right now, um, is actually and I obviously distant because we're over 100 years away, but is a distant like mutation of the 1918 Spanish influenza.
Yeah. Well, so it like pretty much derived from the Spanish flu.
Yeah, so like what we well, so like every year we have a flu season. And so the flu that people get during said flu season is that's not necessarily the same exact one, but a like the Omicron variant of the flu, which I thought was really interesting. It wasn't like it was a cool little factoid, but I also like in hearing that like made our current situation feel a bit more like manageable, I guess is the word.
Yeah, I mean it's like 5,000 variations later, right?
Right,
Something like that.
right, right, right,
But still, it's yeah, it's manageable. But once you think about it, that's one more vaccination you have to get a
right,
year.
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
and some people don't even get the flu shot every year. You know.
I know, right, and so I think that's the big thing is kind of what they were pointing to when talking about like when something becomes endemic versus obviously versus pandemic, but when something becomes endemic, that it is still going to prove fatal or severe for certain sects of the population, right? So, like the elderly are always going to be more affected, and children are going to always be more affected by the flu and other endemic viruses. But when somebody contracts it or gets it, the symptoms and recurring, or not recurring, but the symptoms and concurrent issues with it are far less severe than when the virus is like brand new and running rampant, which I thought was
Yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. There's a lot of places that are like requiring booster shots within 7 months or something,
Hmm.
which is just like, okay, so we're gonna have to deal with this for like a long time. Like booster shot, like, oh, make sure you have your booster shot.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, all things being what they are, what is it like? At this point, is it more of like a nuisance? Yeah, probably, but I'll take that any day over the other consequences, i.e., like dying.
Yes, or killing somebody
Right.
else.
Right. And I'm not trying to live that life, you know. Trying to live stress-free for 2022.
Oh yeah.
But it's so funny that we bring up COVID and like not seeing any of the Canadian studios, you know, of course, right after we come back from um, our area training, like 15 or a whole boatload of people were saying that, like, oh, now they tested positive for COVID, blah, 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 blah. So, like, that's cool. But, you know, the likelihood of it happening is definitely up there.
Yeah.
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 It's the new
It
world we live in.
it's the new world we live in. Yeah.
And that is, I guess, okay.
It happens. But
Yeah.
it happens. Like it happens.
I
Yeah.
I always wonder, just in thinking about this versus like other pandemics that have occurred, like the influenza or um, polio, like if the targeted population was much younger, right, would the response have been a lot different?
Probably. Probably.
Right, and because like the primary people or primary population of people that were affected by this were, you know, between the ages of what, 30 to 60.
It was somebody in the office looking at the housing market and was like,
Mm.
"No, wait,
Hold up,
hold on."
we've got something here. We've got something here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that was Fall Forum or TOC or whatever it was. It was a super successful month, to say the least, you know, winning like top teacher awards, our studios kicking butt, taking names. We're number 3 in the country. We should be number 1, but you know, one thing at a time. Um, we're moving up in the world. I got a promotion. Dab on them.
There you go. Promoted.
It's not as stressful as it's stressful. Certainly stressful. Not as stressful as I thought it was going to be. Fortunately, everything is very organized.
Yes. From what I see.
Not for nothing, but turns out the key to a successful, happy life is organization. Yeah. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying.
Turns out.
Turns out. Yeah. Anywho. Um so okay, so we've got to get into like the meat of everything that we have to talk about because a lot has happened over these last couple of weeks. So, first, um
Aliens. Because we did say that
oh, has anything
we talked.
happened?
Nothing has happened. Nothing is
Okay.
going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. But I'm just saying, like, did you check out the thing I told you to check out?
I very much did not, because I have had about 7 billion other things on my mind. One of which is this dance session that I'm supposed to lead next week. And by next week, it's on Wednesday that I have not fully finished putting together. So I should get on that. Um, but I will make it a point to watch it. Um, Joshua, darling, husband, love of my life, could you do me a favor? And over there on the counter is my planner, my day planner, because if I don't write it down in the planner, it's not happening. Thank you. Nope, it's the one that says Carpe effing diem. It looks like a planner. That one. Yay, thank you. I appreciate you very much. I had a pen. I guess it is blood you shall be writing with. Oh, I found my pink notebook, by the way. It's right here.
I know you have a studio pin somewhere around there.
Oh,
Keeping them in your pockets.
I've got tons. I try to bring them back when I can. This is my notebook, or my planner. It reminds me to seize the day. Okay, so what am I supposed to be watching?
Oh yeah, no, United States Department of Navy UFO patents.
UFO patents. Noted.
It's a real thing, people.
Great, and I'm even going to put a sticker next to it to make sure that it lives up there with the.
I feel like every single time I bring up like UFOs or aliens, people are like, oh,
They're like, oh boy, here we go. I'm going to put this one. Check it out. But
the slap.
Oh my gosh. Okay. The slap heard around the world. Okay, so I've been preparing for this one mentally, physically, emotionally. So hold on. Everybody hold. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Because for those of you who haven't watched it, where have you been? But also, let me really quick play for y'all the clip, because it was a wild time. So here you go.
どうなんでしょうか?
He got him so good.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
ウィル・スミスにやられました。
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
I just don't know why.
So it was certainly a wild time had by all.
I would have just like dodged it. You could see it coming.
Well, I'm thinking like in that moment, Will Smith is coming up onto the thing, like all cool, just like, and then suddenly it's just pop. I don't know that anybody truthfully could have dodged it.
I mean, it was pretty obvious that was happening, though. Like, he walked up on the stage. I would have recognized that right away. Like, but when I saw it, like, happening, I was like, oh, he's gonna hit him. Like, I would have been bobbing and weaving. I would have been like, oh.
And so, and this is where, I think when you listen to the audience, it makes this whole entire thing that much more interesting, because obviously in that moment, I think everybody thought it was a staged thing, because stuff like I don't want to say stuff like that has happened all the time, but stuff like that happens all the time. Like mid-speech, like gags, as it were, happen very often.
Yeah, and you wouldn't but the thing is that you wouldn't expect that to happen at the Oscars anyways. So that is like completely, and from Will Smith. So it's completely out of, I could see how like he wouldn't have reacted or anything to it, because it's like completely out of the blue. Like, Will Smith's track record is like golden, not anymore, He's known as one of the nicest actors. I mean, now he's not. But you know who's still up there? Neo, Matrix.
Keanu
Reeves. He will forever go down as the nicest and most loving actor.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I think if you're going to look for like the epitome and or barometer for like just genuine politeness, genuine human people, Keanu Reeves definitely tops that list. 100. He's like the nicest, coolest, most down to earth person.
Dang.
Yeah, that was wild.
Like, and the thing is, like, what goes through like his like someone's head when they like do something like that? But no, I mean, like, no, look, what do you think was going through Will Smith's mind?
Okay, so here's I think the hot take from this whole situation. So truthfully, just knowing what I know, which is, not a whole lot, but what I know about like Will Smith's relationship with Jada is that, that is definitely not a relationship to aspire to.
It's very not.
It is like, it appears to be one of the most like toxic types of relationships that could possibly exist. Like there is very obviously a love there between the two of them, but I think like Will obviously has a lot of hurt and baggage that has been caused by Jada. I mean, like, you look and listen to those Red Table talks. Like, she's done him dirty so many
I feel like those Red Table talks just need to not
happen anymore because she has done that man dirty. Like, dirty.
There's actually been a petition that like a lot of people, I don't know how many people, but a lot of people have signed for nobody to interview Will and Jada anymore.
For
Like,
real. Like,
we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it.
Right. It's like it's too much for, it's just too much. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's quite literally just the two of them.
They did a Red Table talk with their kids.
Yeah, I mean, like, for what it's worth, I mean, like, I think Willow and Jaden are doing just fine on their own. Like, Jaden's got this awesome company that's trying to bring like clean water to Flint, Michigan, and other places around the world. Willow has been doing her own thing for a minute and a half. So, and like, you never hear anything from them. Right? It's kind of.
Well, you hear some weird crap.
You hear some weird stuff about that, but that's usually just like a take from somebody else saying like, well, look at what Willow Smith is doing. She's cut her hair. Oh, now she's got dreadlocks. Right? So I think like if Will and Jada could be more like their kids and be much less of a presence, they would be doing themselves a service. They need to act much more like Keanu Reeves, where it's like, you never hear nothing. You don't hear anything about Keanu Reeves ever. Ever. And when you do hear something about Keanu Reeves, it's like, oh, look at him. He like was walking down the street with a blanket. It's stupid stuff that like, it's very innocuous and like, it's just Keanu minding his own business, or like somebody ran into Keanu Reeves at the grocery store and he bought them a carton of eggs.
Yeah, and he's like, he lives his everyday life like a normal person,
like a regular human person,
like a regular human being too.
And then, but like, so I think, truthfully, I think all three, Will, Jada, and Chris, all have some, and they all have a hand in the whole situation. They are all culpable for everything that happened. you know, Jada's the instigator because she put Will into this like god awful position where he like feels like he has to defend her
I wouldn't have even defended her. I would have been like, ha.
especially with like, especially, you know, after how she's treated him, like she had an affair and
Yeah.
and literally said in public, like not on national television but available nationally, that, you know, Will wasn't man enough for her. Like those were the words out of her mouth. So like, you know, she's culpable because she created this toxic ass environment for Will to exist in. Will is culpable because he let his emotions and feelings get in the way of rational thought to the point where like he literally walked up onto the stage on national television and smacked the shit out of Chris Rock, which I just want to play again because it was incredible. Like it was an incredible moment.
Man, that was.
Just he just went
どうなんでしょうか
Oh, wow.
he just went
ウィル・スミスに
he popped him, just split out. And then you've got Chris, who, you know, granted, he's a comedian, right? And comedians, I think, we give comedians a bit of leeway when it comes to the jokes that they're making. But I you know, in that, and to that end, I think it's very important that, like, as you know, I can't speak for comedians because I'm not one. I do find I can be funny at times.
Wait.
Shut up. Shut up. No one asked your opinion, Gary. Shut up. But, you know, I think it's not that there are.
You're making jokes already. Look at you. You're making jokes.
I bet. Okay. I think there are. I think there is a line that often gets crossed without fear of repercussion, right? Like, did Chris's joke about Jada's alopecia like cross a line? Yeah, possibly. You know, like into a large swath of society, yeah, probably, because it has to do with like it's her like actual physical health that he's calling into question, right? You know, it's like why you don't make jokes about cancer patients, right? Like there's nothing funny or to joke about that, especially like if the person's been, especially if she's been like dealing with it or struggling with it for a very long time. You know, I think it's a little bit lowbrow to poke fun at that, unless of course like the person that you're poking fun of is in on it.
Yeah.
You
I don't
know,
think that's how comedy works, though.
right? Well, and
What
so
about freedom of speech too?
well, and so but that's the other side of that too, is that as far as comedy is concerned, is that it's an art form, right? It's a form of art, and art is meant to make you uncomfortable and question your viewpoints on a lot of things, right? So as much as I think sometimes comedians need to like be cognizant of how their words can possibly cause harm to people, right? This kind of is going to go back to the when we were talking like many moons ago about Dave Chappelle, right? I think when the harm is caused and addressed by the people who are being actually physically hurt by that, then it needs to be listened to, right? But I don't think it's fair or okay for people who aren't necessarily affected by XYZ thing that comedian is joking about to say whether or not that thing is okay. Unless, of course, you know, there are, I'm sure probably have heard a joke or two in there, or that somebody has said where I'm like, I don't know if that's it. You know, like
there's
I may not know art, but I know what I like.
yeah. I mean, there's always like I feel like there's like I don't know, I've been to many like shows like in person. I love comedy,
Right.
you know. And there's been so many times where like I've been there and I'm like, ooh, you
Ooh,
know.
yeah. Well, of course, those like where you're like, oh God, I shouldn't laugh at this. But but see, I think that's the beauty of an art form like comedy or really anything is that it allows you to call into like, are you laughing because it's funny or are you laughing because you're uncomfortable? Right? Laughter actually is a defense mechanism, right? Why like it's actually a pain response, or can be a pain response. So like for I read this, and this is a while back. I read it because I was so interested in understanding it. But tickling as a concept, like the idea of tickling somebody, can actually be used as a form of torture, and tickle torture. And laugh. It's weird because we tend to laugh as a result of that, of being tickled or whatever. But for a lot of people, like being tickled is not an enjoyable act. It's actually like the worst.
I don't think it is for anybody though. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And so I think it's interesting that laughter is the response to that. Or that people, like, when we are tickled, we laugh. When for a lot of people, being tickled isn't an enjoyable activity. So I don't know. I think we tend to laugh at things that are, generally speaking, uncomfortable.
So I read something
Oh,
in a book.
what? All right, everybody, mark this. Hold on, let me open my calendar and mark this down. Gary read something in a book.
You correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember reading this somewhere, and it might have been just an article instead of a book. But the laughter is actually an evolutionary trait developed when we're like over the years, where we develop this sensation of being tickled when we're young because all of the spots where we're ticklish are very vital parts of your body, right? And so from a young, and we've developed this sensation, right? It's uncomfortable, but we've developed it in a way where like we can laugh to it, where laugh when it happens, to where we can be trained as at a young age to like cover up, when we feel this sensation. And that's where the tickling comes in when you're a baby, like, oh, tickle the baby, and like, no, and then you cover up. Well, you're actually covering up your vitals in sensitive areas and soft skin. So like places where there's a lot of nerves, obviously because it's ticklish, nerves, endings, and less bone, where basically arteries. I'm not sure.
I'm looking up the evolutionary origins of laughter. And the just
tickling.
Oh, sorry, not laughter, tickling. But turns out laughter was more hold on. Ticklish evolved as a defense mechanism to protect vulnerable areas of the body to show submission. Another theory is that tickling encourages social bonding. Interesting. Interessante. Well, see, you look at you knowing things and saying stuff. That's so wow. Round of applause for Gary Knox Dairy, everyone. But anywho,
it's not all aliens and UFOs around here.
It's obscure bits of information like why tickling evolved as a defense mechanism.
No, somewhere along the line, I was like, why am I ticklish? I'm not ticklish, by the way, for if anybody's wondering.
But all of this to say that, right, like, I think all three parties are kind of culpable in this whole entire thing, and like, should Chris Rock apologize to Will and or Jada? Yeah, sure. Like, if and this is the
She
thing,
did.
right, which he did, and I think this is the thing. If a joke was made about somebody and that person took offense to that joke, right, then I think that comedian does, or that person does, owe said person an apology. Right. I think that's and I think that's an important thing that we all have to realize, that yes, it's just comedy, but this is also like, it's also people. Like, if I go and make a joke about somebody and that person's actually like genuinely like offended about the thing that I said because of XYZ reason, right? So maybe Jada didn't find that joke about her hair loss funny because she's been struggling with alopecia for her entire life, right? So yes, does Chris owe an apology to Jada for making that joke? Yeah, sure. Did he know about it? Probably not. But, we're all adults and we can all grow and learn from said things. So there's that. Does Will owe Chris an apology? Yeah, absolutely, because he assaulted him in public.
He honestly, he could have, like, there was the thing I read, who was it said that, I think it was Jim Carrey or something, said that he would have sued Will Smith for $200 million.
Oh yeah, 100. Like, you just don't get to get up and assault someone.
Yeah, and just like, that video is gonna be, that's on the internet forever. That's gonna be around for ever, your whole life, your children's lives.
I think
your children's lives.
Jada owes Will an apology for putting his shit out there and putting him in this predicament to begin with. I mean, like, but
I'm not a big fan of her.
I've never been, but
you see her, because it sucks, because you see like the different camera angles from all of, like, what happened, and you see a different angle of how she reacted, like the reaction of everything, and then his reaction after the joke, like Will's reaction. Will laughed at it. He was like, ah, ha, 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 JJ, whatever, and then looked over to Jada and was just like, oh wait, and then boom, you know what pops up in his mind? I'm not man enough. I'm not man enough. I'm not man enough. And he said that all the way in his head to go, like, slap Chris.
See?
I feel bad for Will. Like,
I really do.
He shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it, but I really feel bad for him.
Well, and what has been the most, aside from the slap itself, I think the slap notwithstanding was a very interesting thing. I think the fallout of the entire situation has been very revealing, to say the least, especially with as far as like the Academy's response to Will Smith doing this whole thing. Like, yes, he physically assaulted somebody during the middle of their award show presentation, right? But this isn't the first time that the Academy has dealt with, like, threats of physical violence at one of their award shows by actors. Cough, John Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
Like, John Wayne literally attempted to murder Sachin Littlefeather at the Academy Awards. Yeah. You don't. Oh, so okay. So this one goes way back. So this was like, hold on, pull up the date. It was 1973. And
70s. Oh,
yeah. So she got up and I think it was during hold on. Company by. Oh yeah, okay. So actor. Oh yeah, okay. So she was ended up being put in contact with Marlon Brando. So it was a whole thing. She was put in contact with Marlon Brando through their mutual friend Francis Ford Coppola. And was asking Marlon Brando if he was interested in like helping with indigenous and American, like Native American. It was the American Indian movement, but the like Native American rights and basically well-being, because at this point, we're still putting Native Americans on reservations and not providing them like access to adequate access to healthcare or schooling or clean water and yada 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 yada. So par for the course for where for where we are. But so she gets in touch with Marlon Brando, and he was like, yeah, sure, if I win Best Actor, you can take my place and give the speech instead of me getting up and doing my like acceptance speech. So he ends up winning Best Actor. She gets up on the stage and ends up reading this speech that she created. So she says, "Hello, my name is Sachin Littlefeather. I'm Apache and I'm president of the National Native American Affirmative Image Committee. I'm representing Marlon Brando this evening, and he has asked me to tell you in a very long speech, which I cannot share with you presently because of time, that I will be glad to share with the press afterwards, that he very regretfully cannot accept this very generous award. And the reasons for being are the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry. Excuse me. Boos and cheers, and on television and movie reruns, and also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee. I beg at this time that I have not intruded upon this evening, and that we will in the future, our hearts and our understandings will meet with love and generosity. Thank you on behalf of Marlon Brando." So as she's doing this, I believe it was John Wayne. John Wayne was waiting in the wings and had to be restrained by 6 security guards to prevent him from forcing her off stage. So he was ready to like hop on stage and like attack her and get her off stage. And then later that night, before she announced the Best Actress winner, Raquel Welch said, "I hope the winner doesn't have a cause." When Clint Eastwood presented the Best Picture award, he remarked that he was presenting it on behalf of all the cowboys shot in John Ford westerns over the years. Michael Caine, that night's co-host, criticized Brando for letting some poor little Indian girl take the booze instead of standing up and doing it himself. So,
wow.
Yeah, so, I think as much as, the Academy is trying to hold Will Smith accountable for his actions at night, which they should, they have a long history of not holding people accountable for their actions. I would also like to point out, like, Woody Allen. Oh gosh, who's the other guy who did? Yeah, Polanski, Roman Polanski. Ugh, gross. Anywho, there's a whole history of wrongdoings that have not been dealt with. So I just thought it was very interesting that, like, the first time, we have some real life, true to form, black on black crime.
Something needs to happen.
But what has been the most interesting thing, aside from all of these other interesting things, is seeing like the conservative pundits talk about it, because they don't know which way to like go. with it. Like, oh, is it just like another instance of like black on black crime, or is like the degradation of society, or like look at Hollywood eating itself, blah 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 blah. They're trying to approach it from every angle. It's
Yeah, they
out of
should just
control.
shut up.
Yeah, well, waste not, want not. Um, have you been following the speaking of people just shutting up? Been following the what is it? The confirmation hearings for Ketanji Brown Jackson for Supreme Court.
I have not.
Oh my gosh.
Actually,
It has been one of the most fascinating, frustrating, incredible situations ever. So to bring you and the rest of the people into the loop, Ketanji Jackson, or Brown Jackson, was nominated to the Supreme Court by Joe Biden. She is actually, truthfully, the most qualified, or is one of the most qualified candidates for Supreme Court ever. I think she has served more time as a judge, like as a career judge, than all of the current members of the Supreme Court combined.
okay.
Yeah, so she has like quite the track record. Hold on, I'm going to send you a link really quick so that you can watch this. I'm going to show this quick clip, but it's quite literally just the first like couple of seconds, because it's everybody's favorite butthole, Senator Ted Cruz, asking her questions, and of course, the first bit of a lot of the questioning was focused on her sentencing of criminals and like the lessening of sentencing lengths for criminals, especially like surrounding child pornography. Like there was a huge focus on child pornography and critical race theory. Shocking critical race theory, because she's the first Black female judge to ever be appointed to the highest court of the land for a lifelong appointment. I also just watched this really interesting, it was like an hour-long little special on these two parents who are like super concerned about critical race theory being like taught in schools or whatever, and like this I forget what her name is. She is like one of the founding, I don't want to say founding, but she is like one of the like head like academic legal professors who actually like studies critical race theory, and talks like they basically like ask her questions about like what it is, and like is this actually being taught places, and like help us understand what this actually is. And it's probably one of the most incredible hour-long conversations I've ever seen. So I'll link that in the description. But anywho, so she is at this she's in this confirmation hearing for a couple of days. Pretty much the entire right is trying to paint her as this like judge who is in love with child pornographers because she's lowering their sentences by an extreme amount, and blah 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 blah, this, that, and the other thing, which none of it is real or true.
Why do they always go immediately to like
to wild things?
Pedophilia and like save the children type thing.
Oh well, because doing anything else would make the most sense. Hold on 1 second. My mouse just disappeared and I don't know how to get it back. Hello, mouse? That's fine. We'll figure it out. Let's see. Theater mode, full screen. Okay. So basically in his questioning of her, Ted Cruz, talking about critical race theory, asks her a couple of really inane questions, in particular about this book that is like available at the school where she's a board member of. And he asks her basically,
they include a book called
"Are babies
Anti-Racist
racist?"
Baby by Ibram Kendi.
And the name of the book is Anti-Racist Baby.
There are portions of this book that I find really quite remarkable. One portion of the book says babies are taught to be racist or
what did you ask
anti-racist.
me?
There is no neutrality.
Oh my gosh, it's the most
Another
wild
portion
thing.
of the book,
When he asked this question, there is
they recommend
a solid
babies
like
confess
5-second pause.
when being racist. Now, this is a
I
book
would
that
be
is
too.
taught at Georgetown Day
I'd legit
School
just be like,
to students in pre-K through
I'd look
second
around.
grade,
I'd
so
like, did
4
he
through
just
7
ask
years
me
old.
that?
Like, I will tell you,
Do you
if
agree
you
with this book that is being taught?
if you watch this, if you go to 45 seconds and watch like the next 15 seconds, there is a you have to watch it. It is hysterical, and you can see like just we'll talk about it, but just watch it really quick.
Okay,
Senator.
what is it? What's the timestamp?
If you just start watching it from about 45 seconds, I'm gonna.
Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that babies are racist?
Senator, I do not believe that any child should be made to feel as though they are racist or though they are
Yeah, that
not
awkward
valued.
silence.
Did you like just that moment where she said, "Senator"?
I mean, I guess it's not out of the blue because it is Ted Cruz,
Right.
You know, and you have to be ready for anything with him.
But you could, I just love seeing her summon like every ounce of strength she had in her body. Like you can hear it when she goes, "Senator," and just that exhale followed by that pause where she was like, "Dear Lord in heaven,
Give me the strength.
give me the strength that I need, the strength to not climb over this desk and strangle this," because she basically every time she got a question like that, she was like, "Well, I don't really understand how like this has anything to do with my record as a judge, because I don't deal with this. I don't teach it. I don't deal with it because it's not in my purview." And then they would say, "Well, but do you think this?" And she was like, "That doesn't have anything to do with my my sentencing or anything that I do as a judge. So I don't know why you're asking." Yeah,
I
but
would have been like, it's because I'm black,
it's
right?
right, 100%. And there was one moment, I think Lindsey Graham asked her, he asked her, on a scale of 1 to 10, how faithful to your religion are you? And she was like, you could see she was like, I think she said, I think she said, "I don't think that has anything to do with why we're here today." That was her response to him.
Isn't that the whole separation between church and
Yeah,
state
and
thing?
she was like, then she said, "I'm also a firm believer of like separation of church and state. So, I don't feel comfortable discussing my relationship to religion here today because it doesn't have anything to do with my job and won't have anything to do with my job as a Supreme Court justice." And every time they would ask her, like, how come in this one particular child pornography case you gave the defendant or whatever, the state recommended 97 to 120 days, and you gave him the mandatory minimum of 50 months or something, or 97 to 120 months, and you give him the mandatory minimum. And she would say, well, I was following the rules and orders laid out to me by Congress, by you. She said, Congress, and she kept repeating that. She said, Congress stipulates what I, as a judge, can do as far as providing sentencing, and they also tell and provide the criteria that I have to look at, blah 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 blah. Like, y'all provide this to me, and I have to take all of this stuff into consideration as prescribed by Congress. I don't just get to hand out sentences and she was like, I don't just get to hand out sentences willy-nilly. Some of these crimes are horrible, terrible things, but I'm doing what Congress is telling me to do. And so she said, I think at one point she kind of alluded to, she kind of alluded to this a lot of the time. She was like, if you have problems with the amount of time people are getting from a sentencing perspective, the call is coming from inside the House, because it is literally Congress that establishes these laws and establishes.
One more time for the people in the back.
It is Congress that establishes these lengths of time and the criteria upon which I decide these sentences. I don't just get to say, oh, you have to go to jail for 120 months or 3 billion years. It's Congress that says, okay, here's what you can do. And I follow those things to the letter of the law. Yeah, it was really great. It was a masterclass in seeing, the incredible patience of Black women. Like, incredible. And just women in general. But, she was stalwart, in all these questions. She was like, I don't know why y'all are attacking me about this. This has nothing to do with my job. It was like, as far as I understand critical race theory, she said it too, as far as I understand, critical race theory is like an academic theory that's really only taught and discussed at Harvard Law School. So I'm not ever going to teach this to kids because I'm not a teacher. And if a private school, and she was like, and if, it doesn't matter that this book is taught to kids in K through 2nd grade at this private school, because it's a private school, they can do whatever they want.
They do whatever they want.
And I'm pretty sure all of the parents at this private school are fully aware of what their kids are being taught, because it's a private school.
They got tuition and everything.
Dead ass. It's just like, people just still stay talking stupid. They just stay being stupid, left, right, and center. Left, right, and center.
Oh, man.
People got me.
Wow.
People got me messed up. So this was a super fun, super interesting time. But we're at the end of today's episode, Gary.
What? I have so many more things to say.
Do you love Gantt charts?
Of course. Like what?
We didn't even get to the aliens. I'm messing, everybody. That's okay. Going to be next episode.
Next step. I promise I will actually read that or look into that. Okay, so as we finish up here, hold on. I'm going to.
Write one more thing down.
Okay.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give?
I am going to write one thing down. I'm ready.
Look up the TR3B Black Manta.
You got it. I will write that down. And I've written it down. I will check on it. Right. All right, my friends. So Excuse me. Before we leave, first and foremost, just want to say a huge thanks to all of our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/next to the floor. Thanks for helping out, keeping this whole entire thing up and running. Y'all are the best. It's super helpful. If you want to reach us at any of our socials, you can reach me at a couple of places. I'm available at, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/next to the floor. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/xx, and then follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/next to the floor. You can follow Gary on Instagram, _good_guy_Gary. And yeah, make sure if you're following us on, Facebook or on the YouTubes, that you leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications or whatever. We post, or we do this whole thing every other week, except for in the month of March when things are crazy and chaotic. But now we're back and we don't have anything for the next couple of weeks, so it's going to be smooth sailing, knocking on wood. And yeah, that's all I have. Just remember, y'all, it cost you $0 to be a good person.
$0.
And then also, try to live your life much more like Keanu Reeves and keep a low profile, but just be good. Be a good person, do good for the world, and everything will be okay. And that's it. That's all we got. Thanks for watching, you nerds.
Yeah, filthy animals.
We'll catch ya on the next one. Goodbye.
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 Goodbye. Goodbye.